The 1970s GM muscle cars were beasts of their time, full of raw power and torque. Even today, their engines roar harder than most modern cars, making them true legends on the road. Number 12. 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6 roared onto the streets with an engine that could shake the pavement. Its 454 cubic inch V8 produced an insane 450 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful GM muscle cars of the 70s. This was not just a car, it was a machine built to move mountains, or at least melt the tires on any asphalt in its path. With a hydraulic lifter design, solid lifters, forged steel crank, and aluminum pistons, the LS6 engine was a symphony of metal and fire, ready to launch anyone from 0 to 60 miles per hour in mere seconds. Traction was a constant battle because the power was so enormous. With a positive-traction rear axle and wide tires, the Chevelle could put some of its power to the ground. But spin-outs were still part of the fun. Under full throttle, you could literally burn any street tire available in the 70s. A cowl induction hood flapper opened to feed the engine more air at high speeds, and combined with the turbojet design, the car screamed down the quarter mile, routinely hitting sub-14-second elapsed times at over 100 miles per hour. That speed made other muscle cars look like they were standing still. The Chevelle handled surprisingly well for its weight, around 3,800 pounds, with an 8.4 pounds per horsepower ratio. It could leave lighter cars in the dust. The suspension package, called F41, worked with power front disc brakes to keep the car steady while delivering brutal acceleration. Wheels were 14 by 7 inches with wide oval tires that made the most of the grip, even when the car's engine threatened to spin them off completely. Shifting required skill because the Muncie 4-speed or optional turbo 400 automatic could jam under the enormous torque. The drivetrain flexed so much that high-powered shifts were almost a full-body workout. Even with this challenge, drivers who mastered the gears experienced acceleration like sitting in a rocket, a real thrill ride that made every stoplight a race. The styling matched the power. A domed hood and optional stripes gave the Chevelle an aggressive look, while the cowl induction hood flapper hinted at the engine's appetite for air. Interiors were minimal, focusing on control rather than comfort, because who cared about cushy seats when you were rocketing down the street at 100 miles per hour in a sub-14-second quarter mile? Every part of the Chevelle worked together to deliver pure power, from headers to carburetors, making it a symbol of raw American muscle. Once the LS6 roared to life, it was impossible not to notice. The exhaust gurgled, the tires smoked, and the engine demanded attention. Even the hills of San Francisco or long highway stretches could not slow it down. Towing a trailer at 120 miles per hour tested the limits, yet the Chevelle handled it with authority. Modifications like dual-disc clutches and tri-power carburetors could increase performance even more, keeping this muscle car at the top of its game. Number 11. 1970 Pontiac GTO Judge Ram Air 4. Next up, the 1970 Pontiac GTO Judge Ram Air 4 took power to a whole new level with its 400 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 370 horsepower and a massive 445 pound-feet of torque. This motor was built to scream, using round port heads, a high-performance cam with 308 degrees intake, and 320 degrees exhaust duration, and 87 degrees of overlap to push air and fuel like a thunderstorm. At full throttle, it could launch a Judge from 0 to 60 miles per hour, faster than most drivers could blink. Traction was critical because this kind of power loves to spin tires. With limited gear choices of 3.9 or 4.33 ratios, every launch required precision. But when it hooked up, the GTO could tear down streets and drag strips alike. The Ram Air 4 motor loved air, and the intake design pulled it in efficiently, so that every combustion cycle packed a punch. Optional 4-speed transmissions gave the driver full control over this power. But even the turbo 400 automatic handled the engine's fury without crying for mercy. The Judge package added visual flair and some aerodynamic help, with a freestanding rear spoiler and tri-tone eyebrow stripes that matched the wheel bulges, giving the car an aggressive stance. This was not just style for show. The setup helped keep the car planted when the engine screamed past 100 miles per hour. Power steering and front disc brakes made controlling all this muscle easier, turning extreme performance into a manageable thrill. Inside, the Formula steering wheel put the driver in command, while minimal interior distractions kept focus on the road and the rush of the engine. AM/FM radio and an 8-track tape player were optional, because who needed music when the car itself made a perfect soundtrack of roaring exhaust and tire squeal. Every mechanical detail, from the exhaust manifolds to the carburetor, was tuned for maximum performance and street legality. Only a few Ram Air 4 judges were made, especially with 4-speed manuals, making each one rare and immensely powerful. With correct gearing, a balanced rotating assembly, and a flaring intake that fed the hungry motor, this GTO judge could easily smoke other muscle cars at the stoplight and dominate quarter-mile runs in the low 13-second range at over 100 miles per hour. The combination of engine, torque, gearing, and aerodynamic touches made the 1970 Pontiac GTO Judge Ram Air 4 a muscle car that demanded attention. Number 10, 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1. The 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1 kicked things up a notch with its 455 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 360 horsepower and a massive 510 pound-feet of torque. This motor was built for power-hungry drivers who like to feel every ounce of Detroit's fury under the right foot. The engine used a hotter hydraulic cam, bigger valves, stronger springs, and ported heads to help the air and fuel flow faster and harder. At full throttle, it could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a few heartbeats, leaving lesser muscle cars wondering what hit them. Fuel was delivered through a Rochester Quadra J 4MV carburetor with wide secondary throats, fed by a deep-body mechanical pump from a 20-gallon gas tank. Ignition came from a carefully calibrated single-point Delco Remy distributor that made every spark count. Optional 4-speed manual transmissions allowed drivers to wrestle with all this power, while the turbo-hydromatic automatic kept things smooth and still furious. 3.64 to 3.9 rear gears made the torque useful, and positraction meant the tires would hook up rather than spin helplessly. The Stage 1 package added chromed rocker covers, a matching oil filler cap, and a decal on the air cleaner lid, showing the world this car was serious business. Cooling was upgraded with a triple-row radiator and a viscous drive clutch fan to keep the engine from overheating while it tore up streets or drag strips. Functional hood scoops fed the carburetor with fresh air, and dual exhaust pipes with reverse flow mufflers let the motor roar its approval. Handling was not forgotten, with stiffer front coil springs, perimeter frame support, a rear stabilizer bar, and heavy-duty shocks. Steering could be power-assisted, giving drivers the ability to wrestle the big Buick around corners without losing composure. Tires were wide and aggressive, helping to put all that torque into forward motion, while the brakes, including optional front discs, could stop the 2-ton powerhouse when necessary. This combination of engineering and raw muscle gave the GSX Stage 1 quarter-mile times in the low 13-second range with trap speeds around 105 miles per hour. It could take on almost any muscle car of the era and come out looking like it had just had its morning coffee and a triple shot of adrenaline. Every mechanical detail, from the oversized valves to the Hurst 4-speed shifter, was designed to deliver a relentless driving experience with a grin-inducing soundtrack of roaring V8 power. The 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1 was a thunderbolt on wheels, a proper Motown muscle legend, and a reminder of why the class of 1970 was the ultimate year for American performance. Number 9, 1970 Oldsmobile 442 W30. The 1970 Oldsmobile 442 W30 took raw muscle and added brains to the equation with its 455 cubic inch V8 engine, pumping out 365 horsepower and a staggering 500 pound-feet of torque. This motor was built to pull hard from the start and scream all the way to redline. With the W30 package, output jumped to 370 horsepower, thanks to a hotter cam, special aluminum intake manifold, better cylinder heads, and a performance-tuned carburetor. Every gear change in the 4-speed manual or the optional Turbo Hydromatic 400 automatic meant a surge of torque that could plant your eyebrows to the back seat. Additionally, weight-saving tricks made this Olds punch harder than its number suggested. The hood was fiberglass with functional scoops, the intake manifold was aluminum, inner fender liners were plastic, and even the differential cover was aluminum. Less sound deadener and lighter components meant the engine could move the car faster, making every horsepower count. The suspension was tuned with sway bars front and rear, boxed control arms, and wide G70 XL4 tires that gripped the asphalt like they were auditioning for a tug-of-war contest. Front disc brakes gave stopping power when the W30 decided to get playful, and anti-spin rear ends ensured all that torque went straight to the ground without endless tire squeal. Not only this, functional Ram air scoops fed the low-restriction air cleaner, letting the V8 breathe deeply and make more power. The Hurst dual-gate shifter in automatic cars, or the classic Muncie 4-speed manual, gave drivers complete control over the thunderous engine. Quarter-mile times were in the low 14-second range at speeds over 100 miles per hour, while expertly driven cars managed 13.7 seconds at 102 miles per hour, proving that the W30 could hang with almost any muscle car on the strip. The 442 W30 was not just about brute force. It combined plush interiors with athletic performance, bucket seats, black vinyl trim with wood accents, and a commanding driving position made it comfortable yet deadly when the throttle was mashed. Every component, from aluminum intake to fiberglass hood and lightweight inner fenders, worked in harmony to unleash torque that could make a grown driver laugh, sweat, and grin all at the same time. Number 8. 1970 Chevrolet Camaro Z/28. The 1970 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 took raw speed and turned it into a finely tuned muscle machine, powered by the legendary 3150 cubic inch LT1 V8 engine borrowed from the Corvette. With solid lifters, aluminum pistons, an 11-to-1 compression ratio, and a 780 cubic feet per minute Holley 4-barrel carburetor, this motor delivered 360 horsepower in the Camaro and could spin to high revs without complaint. Every gear change through the Muncie 4-speed manual or optional automatic gave a surge of speed that could launch the Camaro down the quarter mile in just 14.2 seconds at 100.3 miles per hour, and carefully driven cars could do even better. Transitioning from the engine to the chassis, Chevrolet did not skimp on the suspension. The Z/28 received firmer springs, upgraded shocks, and Polyglass F60 XL5 tires that bit into the road with astonishing grip. Steering was redesigned with high-effort power gear, giving predictable handling and low body roll, making cornering a thrill without spinning the tires like a top. The Positraction rear end with 3.73 to 1 gears made sure the torque was sent straight to the pavement, letting the V8's power be fully felt without endless tire squeal. The design also played a role in performance. The Mulsanne blue exterior with black stripes gave a striking look that matched the car's attitude, while the air flowed efficiently over the body. Chevrolet dropped the cold air induction hood, but kept the car breathing through clever ducting. Even with the automatic option, the engine stayed responsive thanks to axle ratios that helped maintain acceleration and speed. Inside, Camaro balanced muscle with comfort, wood grain sport. Interior accents, comfortable seats, and precise instrument placement kept the driver in command, even though the car had matured compared to earlier versions. Losing some raw recklessness, it gained control, refinement, and a driving experience that made it a true powerhouse of 1970. Every turn of the wheel, every downshift, and every surge from the LT1 V8 reminded drivers why the Z28 was not just another muscle car, it was the ultimate American performance machine. Number 7. 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 426 HEMI. Every bolt, carburetor, and cylinder in the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 426 HEMI worked together to create raw power that could launch a grin faster than the speedometer could tick. Under the hood roared the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, factory rated at 425 horsepower, breathing through dual 4-barrel Carter carburetors. With a 4-speed manual transmission, sending torque straight to the Dana 60 rear axle, and a 4.10 to 1 final drive, this car could rock the quarter mile in 9.21 seconds at over 143 miles per hour. That is serious speed, enough to make your stomach feel like it just rode a roller coaster. Transitioning from brute engine power to handling, Dodge equipped the Challenger with the A34 Super Track Pack, including Hemi suspension upgrades and power-assisted front disc brakes, giving the car control even while it lunged forward like a cheetah on asphalt. 15-inch rally wheels wrapped in F6015. Goodyear Polyglass GT bias ply tires helped the car bite the road, while ladder bars and housing floaters in the rear kept the torque from spinning tires into chaos. Every corner felt precise, every straightaway a lesson in acceleration physics, and the chassis made sure the V8's growl translated to thrilling motion rather than wasted roar. Moving from handling to style, the Challenger's Hemi orange paint, paired with a black vinyl roof and side stripes, made the car look like it had just leapt off a drag strip poster. Dual scoops on the sport hood with hold-down pins ensured the Hemi could gulp air freely, while the flip-up locking fuel door kept that precious gas safe. Even the chrome trim on the rally wheels and bright exhaust tips screamed performance while looking good enough to earn a second glance from every car enthusiast. Inside, the Challenger blended muscle with driver-focused comfort. High-back bucket seats and a rear bench in black vinyl, matched with wood grain accents on the dashboard and door panels, made the interior both functional and stylish. The pistol grip shifter, AM radio, and tachometer kept the driver in full control of the Hemi's fury, while rally instrumentation, including a 150 mile/hour speedometer and an 8,000 RPM tachometer, made monitoring the car's incredible performance simple and satisfying. The history of this car only adds to its legend. With just 6,300 miles, it still carries the factory wiring, gas tank, and rear seat, proving that raw Hemi power does not require sacrifice of the essentials. Every time the gas pedal is pressed, the Challenger launches forward with authority, leaving the driver laughing, sweating, and grinning all at once. Bracket racing, super stock, or street cruising, the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 426, HEM, stands as one of the most respected muscle cars of the decade, a true powerhouse from the golden age of American performance. Number 6, 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner 426 HEMI. The 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner 426 Hemi could make any driver's heart race and hands sweat at the same time. At the core roared the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8 engine, factory rated at 425 horsepower and producing 490 pound-feet of torque. Breathing through dual 4-barrel Carter carburetors, this car could hit 60 miles per hour in 5.6 seconds and scorch the quarter mile in 13.49 seconds at 106 miles per hour. That is serious acceleration, enough to make your hair stand up while your face stretches into the widest grin imaginable. Transitioning from raw engine power to handling, the Roadrunner came with a heavy-duty suspension setup that included reinforced front and rear components, and F7014 Goodyear Polyglass tires wrapped around original 5-spoke steel wheels. Ladder bars and leaf springs in the rear tamed the Hemi's torque so that every launch was precise and every straightaway an opportunity to feel the engine's strength. Even cornering was manageable, and the car's weight distribution, combined with a solid chassis, made the immense power feel controlled rather than chaotic. Moving from performance to fun details, the 1970 Roadrunner featured the air grabber hood scoop standard on Hemi models. The driver could trip a switch under the dash, and the hood would lift slowly, revealing a smooth, functional scoop with a snarling cartoon shark painted on the side. This helped the engine breathe even more freely, giving the car extra muscle when competing at stoplights or drag strips, while the famous beep-beep horn added a touch of humor and personality to the car's presence. Inside, the Roadrunner combined function with racing flair. The rally dashboard, complete with an N85 tachometer and R11 AM solid-state radio, kept the driver informed of speed and engine RPM. The Hurst pistol grip shifter allowed for precise control of the 3-speed manual transmission, while high-back bucket seats with restored foam and original vinyl upholstery ensured comfort during high-speed launches. Every detail, from the restored headrests to the factory-correct window glass and weather stripping, reflected the car's original design and performance intent. The Roadrunner's engine rebuild only amplified its legendary power. With all components magnafluxed, a new crankshaft, pistons, rings, and bearings installed, and carburetors and distributor rebuilt, the HEMI produced 523 horsepower and 540 pound-feet of torque on the dyno. Every launch from a stoplight or drag strip corner displayed the engine's strength, making the Roadrunner a true powerhouse. Even the steel wheels, drum brakes, and correct tires contributed to the car's ability to transfer this immense energy efficiently, delivering a driving experience that was thrilling, precise, and unmistakably Mopar. Number 5. 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429. The 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429, equipped with a 429 cubic inch big block V8 engine that was built to dominate the streets and the NASCAR tracks alike. With aluminum semi-hemispherical heads, this engine produced enormous power, enough to rocket the Mustang from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.5 seconds, and it could cover the quarter mile in 13.8 seconds at 104 miles per hour. The engine's huge intake ports and solid lifter camshaft meant torque arrived instantly, giving the car low-speed punch that could embarrass many modern vehicles, while still pulling hard at high revolution per minute with a ferocity few engines could match. Every push on the accelerator pedal translated into raw, thrilling speed that made the tires squeal and the driver grin uncontrollably. Moving from the engine to handling, the Boss 429 had a strong suspension tune to manage all that big block power. Front and rear components were reinforced, and with the factory 3.91 rear axle ratio, launches were explosive while staying predictable. Tires gripping F60, Goodyear polyglass rubber, transferred power to the pavement effectively, though any extra throttle demanded careful control to prevent wheel spin. The car felt balanced despite its monstrous engine, proving that the engineers had thought about more than just straight-line speed. They gave the driver confidence and control as well. Inside, the Boss 429 combined racing functionality with street usability. The twin-pod dash, complete with deep-set gauges, allowed the driver to monitor engine RPM, oil pressure, and temperature. The Hurst 4-speed T-handle shifter gave a tactile thrill with each gear change, letting the driver wrestle the transmission into first, second, third, or fourth like a champ. High-back bucket seats kept the occupants planted during aggressive acceleration, and the layout ensured that all controls were within easy reach, turning every drive into a fully engaging experience. The exterior of the Boss emphasized performance and intimidation. The grabber orange paint and bold sports roof profile announced the car's capabilities before anyone even heard the engine fire. Functional hood flaps and the massive Boss 429 badge signaled that power lurked beneath, and even small details like factory air scoops and wide tires hinted at serious performance. When the engine fired, the solid lifter clatter and throaty roar left bystanders wide-eyed, signaling that this Mustang was not just a showpiece, it was a speed machine. Even after decades, the Boss 429 retained its street manners despite its racing roots. Low-end torque made it responsive in traffic, while high RPM power rewarded open stretches of road with instant acceleration. Number 4. 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. The 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator, powered by a 427 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 engine that was ready to hit the street with force. With 335 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 440 pound-feet of torque, this engine could push the car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 7.2 seconds and cover the quarter mile in 14.4 seconds at 99 miles per hour. The big block breathed through a high-flow carburetor and optional cold air induction, delivering instant throttle response that made the tires squeal and the driver laugh at the sheer power under the hood. Every time the pedal went down, the engine delivered low-end grunt and high RPM punch, proving that the Eliminator was built to move fast and make a statement. But that's not all. The Cougar Eliminator came standard with a 3-speed manual, while buyers could opt for a 4-speed or the C6 automatic. The rear axle ratio of 3.25 gave acceleration a strong boost, and the competition handling package kept the car planted through corners. F70 by 14 white-lettered tires transferred all that torque to the pavement, though spinning the tires was part of the fun. The combination of power and control meant the Eliminator could launch off the line with authority, rewarding skilled drivers with speed and stability in equal measure. Speaking of interior, the Eliminator balanced performance with functional design. High-back bucket seats held the driver and passenger firm during acceleration, while the instrument panel included a 6,000 RPM tach. Full gauges for oil pressure, fuel, temperature, and amps, and a clock on the passenger side. Manual transmission cars got a Hurst T-handle shifter that made changing gears a tactile joy, and automatic cars received a simulated wood grain knob. The cabin was a mix of muscle and comfort, with multiple interior color options and sporty styling that made driving a performance car feel serious and fun. The exterior enhancements of the Eliminator were all about attitude. Blacked-out grills, a black hood scoop, and body stripes combined with front and rear spoilers to signal speed before the engine even fired. The Eliminator decals on the rear quarters and deck lid made sure no one missed the car's intentions. Styled steel wheels, wide tires, and a body-colored rear wing completed the aggressive look, matching the engine's performance with visual power cues. With multiple engine options, the Eliminator could be mild with a 351 Cleveland or wild with the 428 Cobra jet, making each car a unique performance machine. The Boss 302 option added another layer of excitement for those who wanted a high-revving small block. The combination of power, torque, handling, and aggressive styling made the Mercury Cougar Eliminator a true muscle car, capable of thrilling speed, instant response, and street dominance, all while looking ready to race at a moment's notice. Number 3, 1970 AMC AMX 390. The heart of the 1970 AMC AMX is its massive 390 cubic inch V8 engine, pumping out 340 horsepower when equipped with the Ram Air option. This engine isn't just for show, it delivers straight-line speed that hits over 130 miles per hour with ease, making it one of the fastest two-seaters Detroit ever built. The Ram Air hood scoop is functional, pulling cool air directly into the engine to give that extra burst of power, while the 4-barrel carburetor makes sure every drop of fuel is turned into forward-thrusting energy. Paired with a heavy-duty suspension and optional front disc brakes, this setup allows the AMX to launch off the line with authority and grip the road through corners like a car twice its size. The engine's punch is complemented by a perfectly tuned drivetrain. The 4-speed manual transmission with a Hurst shifter feels responsive and precise, putting the driver in complete control of the V8's fury. Those who prefer automatic power could opt for a 3-speed gearbox, though nothing beats the connection of shifting through the 4 gears while the engine roars. The limited slip differential included in the Performance Go package keeps the rear tires biting into the pavement during quick launches, ensuring the AMX translates its raw horsepower into actual usable speed rather than spinning wheels and wasted energy. Next, the AMX's handling setup makes every turn exciting without turning dangerous. The heavy-duty suspension, tuned for both straight-line launches and tight cornering, combines with wide E70 tires that help keep the car planted. A revised front suspension in the 1970 model improved handling even further, allowing the car to carve through curves with surprising precision for a muscle car of its time. The functional hood scoop not only feeds the engine, but also signals to anyone watching that this car means business, creating a presence that is impossible to ignore. Stepping into the cockpit, the AMX does not disappoint in driver experience. High-back bucket seats with integral headrests keep you secure, even when the engine is screaming down the road. The instrument panel includes an 8,000 revolutions per minute tachometer, letting the driver know exactly when to shift for maximum performance. Every control feels purposeful, from the steering wheel to the Hurst-shifted gearbox, making it a car built around the thrill of driving rather than just looking fast. Finally, the AMX stands out. With the optional Go package, a 390 engine, Ram Air induction, and all the handling upgrades, it accelerates from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 6 seconds. This was not just a muscle car with a V8. It was a sports car with the soul of a muscle machine, capable of handling corners with finesse that most other Detroit offerings could only dream of. Number 2, 1970 Buick Skylark GS 455. The powerhouse of the 1970 Buick Skylark GS 455 is its massive 455 cubic inch V8 engine. This engine produces 360 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and a staggering 510 pound-feet of torque at 1,800 RPM in Stage 1 trim. That means when you mash the accelerator, the car lunges forward with authority, rocketing down the quarter mile with speeds over 105 miles per hour. The dual snorkel intake feeds cool air directly to the engine, and the 4-barrel carburetor ensures every drop of fuel turns into pure forward motion. Buick engineers designed this big block for torque, making it pull like a freight train from low RPM, so the car feels powerful even when cruising, not just screaming at high speed. Next, the drivetrain turns raw power into real-world speed. The 3-speed turbo 400 automatic with a column shifter gives smooth, controlled shifts while keeping the engine in its sweet spot. Power steering and power brakes make controlling the massive muscle effortless, letting drivers laugh at traffic while the car does all the hard work. With Goodyear Polyglass G6015 tires gripping the road and a limited slip differential keeping the rear wheels from spinning out, every ounce of torque is transferred into movement, not wasted energy. This combination makes the Buick GS 455 surprisingly agile for a near-luxury muscle car, and it can leave many lighter cars in the dust without breaking a sweat. The suspension is no afterthought, as Buick tuned the F41 package to handle the big block's immense torque. Larger front and rear anti-roll bars, high-rate springs, firm ride shocks, boxed lower control arms, and rear frame stiffeners all work together to keep the car planted during hard launches or spirited cornering. Even though the car rides softer than a Camaro or Chevelle, the suspension upgrades mean you can hustle the GS 455 without feeling like it's going to fold under pressure. The result is a smooth but confident driving experience that pairs comfort with performance. Transitioning to the interior, the Buick Skylark GS 455 treats the driver to a luxury meets muscle environment. Bench or bucket seats hold you comfortably, while the tri-spoke racing-style steering wheel and chrome-trimmed gauges keep you informed and engaged. The tachometer lets you know exactly when to shift, while the push-button AM/FM radio with 8-track player ensures music accompanies every thrilling launch. Every control feels purposeful, making the car an extension of the driver rather than just a machine moving metal down the road. Even though, with the Stage 1 package, this muscle machine turns the A-body platform into a powerhouse capable of out-accelerating competitors, crushing the torque game and handling curves with surprising poise. Number 1. 1970 Cadillac El Dorado. The engine of the 1970 Cadillac El Dorado is a 500 cubic inch V8 powerhouse, delivering 400 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. This monster of an engine pushes the 4,500 pound car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 9 seconds, making it feel almost playful despite its size. A 4-barrel carburetor feeds the engine fuel precisely, while the turbo-hydromatic 3-speed automatic transmission sends all that torque to the front wheels. The low-end grunt makes stoplight launches thrilling, and the car charges down highways effortlessly, topping out around 120 miles per hour. Moving to the suspension and handling, the El Dorado's front-wheel drive layout was a game-changer for a full-size American luxury car. While most competitors relied on rear-wheel drive, the El Dorado's front wheels pull it forward, giving remarkable traction in all conditions. A torsion bar front suspension and single-leaf spring rear system keep the ride plush while transferring the engine's enormous power to the road. Front disc brakes and rear drum brakes provide stopping force that matches the acceleration, keeping the car in control even when pushing it toward its top speed. Every curve and corner feels confident, proving that the El Dorado's engineering balances power with composure. Stepping into the cabin, the El Dorado offers a mix of elegance and driver-friendly design that complements its muscle. Wide white leather bench seats with power adjustments and fold-down armrests provide comfort for both driver and passengers. The dashboard mixes black and wood accents, placing gauges and controls within easy reach and visibility. Power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, AM/FM stereo, and an optional powered sunroof all enhance the driving experience, making high-speed cruises feel effortless. The interior turns commanding power into a pleasurable ride, so the driver can enjoy every ounce of the 500 cubic inch engine without feeling overwhelmed. The exterior completes the package, projecting authority and style. A broad front grille with dual headlights, subtle fins at the rear, sloped vertical taillights, and chrome trim along the wheel arches and midsection highlight the car's presence. A long hood hints at the massive engine beneath, while a white vinyl top adds a refined contrast. The El Dorado doesn't just move quickly, it commands attention everywhere it goes, turning heads without even trying. Which of these 70s GM muscle cars is your favorite? Comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and amazing classic car stories.